learn from your failures. We all fail every day, and we got to learn from it.
Don't be afraid to tell people you don't know. You don't have to know everything,
It's everybody on your side.
I did a lot of things wrong,
If your people don't trust you, probably not a lot of trust going on there.
Some of your favorite examples of a leader could also be who you don't want to be a leader like.
I have humility towards the people that are working for me, and I have humility towards my clients.
The easiest thing to fix is if it's you.
Everybody, welcome back. This is Tom at Sales Made Easy. As always, we bring you some new people, some people to talk to about going through the trials and tribulations you might have gone through, whether you're a president of the company, a sales manager, or a salesperson. And today we have somebody, Kris Hanchette, who I have known Kris, my goodness, I don't know, 15 years or maybe more.
Probably more.
Yeah. And Kris was at a company called Multicam, and he ran that company for many years and went through sold it twice. And he's actually hired me to work with his sales team, but then he went off and left there, went into other companies managing salespeople. So Kris, thanks for coming on board, and tell us a little bit about your path that you've been on, because you have been growing and learning ever since I met you.
Yeah, it's a awesome path. I mean, I started out literally living in the River Valley of Illinois, and I got a community college degree and got hooked on with this cool CNC company, and we grew it 20% a year for 20 years straight. And we kind of always joke around. We got so good at it because we knew all the ways to not do it. We survived a ton of ways. And I think that, I look at today and kind of looking back after leaving that company and going and helping a couple other companies grow, what is the Kris Hanchette sales philosophy and what works? It's like doing what you say you're going to do. Don't, over promise. Don't, if you can't meet a deadline, then push the deadline out. If somebody says, hey, can you get that to me by today? And I'm like, no, but I'll probably be able to get it to you by tomorrow or the next day. And, people respect that. But so, I got all these lessons, and like I said, I think my favorite part of these lessons is I did a lot of things wrong. I did a ton of things wrong. And, but yeah, I ended up being, CEO of a $50 million company. Today, I'm the only U.S. employee for a Bulgarian software company. And I've been brought on to grow the market. They've been around for a long time, but they really haven't penetrated this market. And, I'm like you said, I'm just having a blast.
Yeah. It's interesting because from going from your past, running a company and all that, and then going to a salesperson, right? You probably, it's that old saying we always say, boy, if I knew now if I knew then what I know now. But you actually had that chance, right? You have all this knowledge and you've seen all the trials and tribulations of sales, and then you're back in this selling software, high-end software. What do you think you could tell salespeople that would be different? Like, you're starting out with all of this ready to go. What would you say to salespeople that are starting out to say, hey, here's a way to bypass all the crap you're going to do, right? And just end up where I'm at.
Some of the lessons that I've learned along the way, one is some of the best managers that I've coached and mentored and worked with, they didn't want to be managers. They were great supreme doers, but they naturally solved problems. They cared about people. They were servant leaders, these kind of things. But their least favorite part was being in charge. And some of the best or some of the worst managers were people that were just dying to be in charge, dying to tell people what to do, wanted to become a manager, and so it's so fascinating because, and I could just, go through a whole bunch of names, which we won't, but time and time again, those people that were just dying to be a manager, bad managers. People that were, like, hey, don't put me in charge. I don't want to be in charge. Turned out to be some of the best leaders, Yeah, and then the other thing is the CRM. I hear you talk about it a lot. I've, grown up through it. When I came to this company, there was no CRM. Here's a company that's been in business since the 90s, all this. And I told them, I said, hey, I can't come to work here if there's no CRM. And they're like, oh, great. Well, you can put in a CRM and use, I'm like, no, 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 no. We're going to put in a CRM for everybody because that's the only way it's going to work. We got to all interact. And today I'm working tons of deals that, some have short close periods. Some take almost a year, some 6 months. How do you stay up with all these things and all this happening and, everything that's going on? And so I'm like, love the CRM, live by the CRM.
It's so true. I mean, what are you going, if you're going in, I was talking to someone earlier today about this. If you're coming into a meeting with my intention is to sell you something, I'll know it. I'll know it immediately. But if you come into a meeting with my intention is, hey, I want to see if I can help you solve a problem. But when I say, hey, Kris, would it make sense for us to set up a 5-7-minute phone call? I can answer a few questions and then decide if we want to set a longer meeting. I get a lot of answers, right? Is there something that you could say to a manager of people and say, hey, look, here's the 3 principles I know when I manage people that made people tick? Something
Yeah,
like
I mean, I'll tell you, one of my first favorites is picking great mentors. Okay. And some of your favorite examples of a leader could also be who you don't want to be a leader like. I remember I worked for a number of people over time, and they weren't very good leaders. And I made sure I was like, okay, I don't want to be like that. It's not that they were bad people. They were just, not very good leaders. And so, for me, find somebody that will tell you the things you need to hear, not what you want to hear, what you need to hear. And then I think the other thing is, it's about back to what is a win, and, Gene Gray at Innovative was really good about this when he was teaching salespeople. He'd come in and say, all right, when we got these new salespeople in or whatever, one of the first goals is what's a success on a sales call? Success could be just walking in the door and making the decision, I don't want to come back here. Or it's, I walked in the door, I want to come back, but know why. So I think that humility is really good. Don't be afraid to tell people you don't know. I think everybody, like young salespeople, they really think they got to know everything. No, 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 no. Be the best at follow-up, be the best at bringing the right resources to the table, and be the best at solving problems, but you don't have to know everything,
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a great point. You even said it both ways. If your people don't trust you, right? If you don't know why they get up in the morning, they don't get up in the morning to buy you a new car. So if they work for you and you don't know why they get up in the morning, probably not a lot of trust going on there. So how do you build that trust? And one way is through creating that humility and saying, hey, look, I'm human too, and I'm going to mess up.
Yeah, when I'm mentoring anybody, one of the first things I said is the easiest thing to fix is if it's you, So I always try to I hate to say it, I kind of hope it's me, because then it's like, oh, I can go fix this. If it's not you and it's something else, well, then it becomes a harder thing to fix.
A couple things we can take back from what Kris has told us is, number one, do what you say you're going to do, right? That's a big key that Kris is, and that's probably almost the golden rule, right? And deliver bad news before they have to ask. If you can't deliver it on time, don't wait for them to call you. Call them ahead of time and create that relationship. The other thing I think you said was, learn from your failures. I don't care if you're 50, 70, 20. We all fail every day, and we got to learn from it. You got to debrief yourself. So, and then get a CRM, and I love it, humility, right? Right.
Or do something you're passionate about. That's the other thing too. If you're just going to work and you're kind of going through the paces and you're not happy, and do some research, figure it out. Obviously you can tell I'm excited. Here I am. You see, when we were kind of debriefing before we got on, you're smiling. You're happy. I'm at a lower weight. I'm probably in the best shape I've been in ages, and I've figured out the work-life balance a lot better. And I think you just got to be passionate. You got to be excited.
Yeah. You gotta enjoy. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, especially in the world of sales, it's just going to come across. So you gotta have that intention of enjoy what you do and enjoy helping people. That's what it's about. It's about, hey, can I help you? If I can't help you, let me get out of here. All right, Kris. Thank you so much. You have a good one.
Excellent. Thank you.